it's very important that, when we are teaching in the classroom, we need to make ensure that students, their interest remain intact. Then only we can ensure the quality of learning, right? So today, in today's session, we are going to see what are those rules, those keys or hacks with which we can make ensure that the quality of learning, the quality education is happening in the class, right? And the students are concentrated. So we'll go ahead. All right. So this is the overview. Number one, ask questions and seek your students' opinions. So this sounds to be very simple, right? But we, at times, it's more like we, keep on speaking. Our speaking is more as an educator, and we don't actually seek students' opinions. It's very important that, for example, if we are giving them a task, okay, or if we are allowing them to make a PPT, a presentation, right? So at times we should practice student agency. We should ask students that, ask their opinions, as in what topic they would like to make, right? Or for example, since I'm a Spanish teacher, so for example, I'm preparing for an event, maybe a Spanish cuisine event. So I should always take my students' opinions as well, as in how to go ahead. This makes this transmit to the students a sense of inclusiveness also, and it ensures that they'll be interested into the project. They'll be doing by whole heart, right? Okay, so heading towards the next one, assess the level of knowledge in the room and tailor your teaching accordingly. Okay, again, this is very important to ensure that the student is interested in the class, since we get students from different walks of life, right? There are students of different capabilities, students of special needs. So we need to make ensure that as per their capability and as per their level of understanding, we should tailor our lesson plans. If at no point of time student should feel disconnected, right, and should feel low on confidence. So this we need to make ensure. Then the third one is get students to present work themselves. Obviously, this is something which enhance their social skills. It also creates good bond amongst the teachers and the students. How? Because when we give them the opportunity to present in the class, right, so they get feedbacks. They get the feedbacks. They always look for feedbacks from their companions, from the teachers. So this always builds up connection amongst the students, teachers, and this again enhance the interest. Use multimedia like video or audio clips. So yes, in like today's generation, the 21st generation, it's not like us. When we used to study, it was like more of the book-based learning, or it's all about content, learning, writing, that's all. But today, the kind of teaching and the manner the student understand has changed a lot. So we need to incorporate the audiovisual activities and other kinds of interesting things along with our content to make our stuff interesting for them. All right, so we'll head towards now, and we are going to see some hacks. So some of them we are already familiar, like design hands-on lessons, get your students up and moving. So, okay, what do we understand by this? Get your students up and moving. So one of the best way to get their concentration back. So at any point of time, if you feel that, students are losing interest, they are no more, present mentally in the class. Okay, so you can practice these kinds of hacks. So what you can do is you can change their seating arrangements. So what I used to do in my classroom is I did the orientation, the seating orientation, as in I put the bean bags, The balls, there are balls as well. If you want your students to be the students to be concentrated 100%, the ball or the ball sitting arrangement is very good, since on the ball they have to be very erect, so that ensures their concentration. At times you give them tasks wherein they have to perform the task in groups, right? So you can offer them more comfortable position, as in on the couches or on the bean bag. So this kind of, the seating arrangement can really help in improving the concentration, and hence the interest, remains intact. Now, vary participation structures and scenery. Okay, use visuals often. Visuals we discuss, like the audio visuals along with the content. Limit the amount of time you spend talking. Okay, so this is very important. We as a teachers, our speaking should be 10%, right? Which is ideally, it is recommended that our speaking should be 10%, and it should be 90% students, driven thing. Like students, it should be more like student driven class, wherein students, they are able to use their creative thinking skills, their critical thinking skills, and deducing, arriving to the conclusion. Obviously, this cannot happen if we are not providing them with the sufficient, with the clear instructions, right? With the clear instructions, they will be able to come up or arrive to the conclusion using their creative and critical thinking skills. All right. So provide opportunities for cooperative learning, as discussed in the above point. We should always prepare tasks according to the or we should always divide and assign the task according to the difficulty level of the task. For example, if I am assigning an easy task to the students, I can tell them to do as an individual thing, as an individual task, you can do this work. But if I see that, the task is complex, right, it's difficult, so I should not assign them as individual tasks. I should give it as a group task. So it's very important, to keep in mind the level of difficulty of the task, and accordingly dividing the groups or, making the arrangement. All right. Then the last is allow your students to share what they think regularly. Yeah, allow your students to share what they think regularly. Okay, this is something which we practice, the thinking routines, which we practice more in IB with the primary years, right? So the thinking routines are very important. Also, apart from the academics, we should also maintain the other kind of, the outside academic relation, the bond with our students, so that they become more comfortable. It is being noticed and is evident that students, they love to hear to those, or they would like to learn from the people they like. Okay, so it's very important that we maintain that relationship as well with the students. Okay, now this is encourage students, sounds very simple. Draw connections to real life. Okay, so encourage students. Students look to teachers for approval and positive reinforcement, and they are more likely to be enthusiastic about learning if they feel their work is recognized and valued. So this we need to keep in mind. Now, drawing connections to the real life. Okay, this we'll understand with a very layman kind of thing. So we also watch movies, series on Netflix and Amazon Prime for that matter. So what is that with which we connect ourselves a lot? That is the real life based stories, right? We are more interested into knowing that rather than fiction. The same thing happened with the students, right? Today's generation is not like us, the time that we passed, we were just being focused to make career, so we were learning, focusing on the career. But today's generation, they really want to know that what they are learning, why they should learn, what is the relevance of their learning, and why is it important. So it's very important to make the connections to the real life. Why what they are learning is relevant as per the local context and the global context. Okay, why that thing is important for them to learn. So this is really important to intact, that interest, to gather that concentration. Okay, now, all right. So these are again some rules or some key points that we should need to keep in mind. The short breaks. Okay, so we should frequently give breaks to students because it is being it's proven that it's our mind functions well for 40 to 45 minutes. So it's important that we give maybe a 2 minutes or 3 minutes break to our students to again get back their concentration. Okay. Now, give verbal praise for successful progress or accomplishment. So it's again a part of stimulating interest, as now the student will feel more motivated, happy, and energetic since he or she was being praised for what they have done. Maybe it could be, for example, the example of PPT that we discussed, right? So when we give, the praise, the appreciation that we do, so they feel more energetic, more confident. Okay, so more, motivated to do further good. Now, communicate your enthusiasm using tone of voice, body language, and eye contact with students. Okay, so here what we can do is we can use sentiments such as the thing that really fascinates me about this, about this topic, or about whatever we are doing that. So these kinds of expressions can really help students to realize that the subject can indeed be really interesting and that the person who is teaching it is already enthused about the same, right? Okay, now use a variety of student active teaching activities. Okay, so this is one of the strongest ways teachers can connect with the students, is by making them feel valued and respected. So how? When students feel their teachers, care about them, they want the best for them and have confidence in the student's ability, this can be powerful enough to move mountains. So this is really very important. And many researchers today agree that including more student-centric learning approaches in the classroom can improve learning. Oh, also, using only a teacher-centered approach leaves out many skills. They don't build up on their risk-taking skills, right? They don't become risk takers, and it won't develop any skills. So it's very important that the session is more student driven. All right. Okay. Now, this is something which is which was when I was going through and preparing this PPT. This is something which was a bit new to me, since the content which is there inside, you must be little like sound like, okay, this is something we generally do with students, but do we actually perform them? Do we actually know about the this 2x10 relationship building, right? So this is to enhance the social emotional learning, right? So now we are going to learn about how to implement the 2x10 strategy, right? So as you can see here, choose one student whom you would like to strengthen your relationship with. So here I've talked about one student. It could be more than one also, depending that, with which student you feel that the student is disconnected or is being demotivated, not interested in the class. So you can pick up the student and, perform this social emotional learning strategy. Now, select when you are going to approach the student. Example, at the beginning of the class period or maybe at the end of the class period. Find a student and start a conversation with them, right? So what should be the focus of these conversations? What should be the focus? Since we need to be very careful when we are doing conversations, and in a private manner, we are doing the conversation with the students, since it has a very different impact on their mind, on their well-being. So number one is brevity. So this is like these conversations should last for 2 minutes or less than that, right? Student voice. So invite students to share something which is non-academic, with you about their day-to-day life, right? Honesty. So here you have to model transparency and authenticity by sharing something personal about yourself, right? And which is not academic, with the students. Okay. Now, keep the content of the conversation focused on the students' personal interest, not their schoolwork or behavior. Okay, so use an interest inventory to ask questions, or use context clues. For example, you can say what the student is wearing, or what he or she likes to talk about, in the class, to help drive the conversation further, right? You can start with this, start like that. And you can also find out what their favorite food is, or what their hobbies are. The goal here is to basically get to know what your child, how to know the child outside of school in an authentic manner, right? Okay, now consistency is key. So, all right. So consistency is here. It's understandable. If even if the conversations are shorter than 10 minutes, they can be beneficial if they occur every school day. Holding a 30-second conversation for 10 days in a row with a student conveys more care than having just one 30 minutes conversation. So it's very important to be consistent. Okay, the time period can be shorter, but it should be frequent. Now the next one, ask open-ended questions. Okay, so when you do open-ended questions, don't be afraid to probe it. Students students start to open up with you. Be a persistent positive role model. Then keep the momentum. Okay, so keep the momentum as in going after the 10 days, and continue to engage the students on a regular basis with the same strategy. All right, so this was all with my speaking. Now I would like you all to have a look on this video that I personally like a lot. So it's a 6-minute video. It talks about the learning and the interest, okay, the related to today's topic. So we'll have a look on this video that I'll be sharing with you all.
Benjamin Franklin apparently said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." But what do we really know about effective learning hundreds of years later? Many respected economists and educators from the world's leading universities.
Is the video still on, Miss Parul?
Yeah, just a moment. I think this is a bit glitching. Just a moment.
No problem.
Is it visible? And if it is audible as well, please let me know.
Benjamin Franklin apparently said, "Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn." But what do we really know about effective learning hundreds of years later? Many respected economists and educators from the world's leading universities research this topic. They discovered that many things don't matter, such as classroom size, new technology, or fancy uniforms. Their evidence suggests that the secret to thriving students is amazing teachers. Here's what they have learned. First, we have to acknowledge that teaching is a highly complex skill. It involves a deep understanding of the subject matter, the ability to explain complex issues in simple ways. But it also requires an understanding of psychology, pedagogy, as well as a wide range of management skills in order to get the students first quiet and then excited. Rob Coe, professor at Durham University, reported that many widely used methods don't work. For example, grouping students by ability, giving unearned praise, or the idea that students can discover complex concepts by themselves. Instead, master instructors have high expectations and maximize the lesson time. But most importantly, they combine high-quality instruction with pedagogical content knowledge. They don't teach a subject, they teach their students how to learn it for themselves. In order to get it right, we have to treat and train teachers like brain surgeons. After all, they operate on human brains. Like aspiring doctors, they are best trained in the field where they receive professional feedback when they make mistakes. Effective schools of education, therefore, train teaching like a craft rather than an abstract science. At Sposato, a graduate school of education known for creating effective teachers, students spend a lot of their time tutoring or assisting professionals. Teachers who are already in the classroom need regular professional feedback on the job. A vast study by Roland Fryer from Harvard found that teachers who receive precise instructions together with specific regular feedback from a lead teacher will improve the most. One of the good ideas to improve teachers are to ask the students for feedback or to record lessons on video and let the teachers watch themselves. Doug Lamont, founder of Uncommon Schools and author of Teach Like a Champion, identified many methods that great teachers use. They greet each student at the door so students feel welcomed and acknowledged at their existence. Later, they use a strong voice and don't stop talking until they have everyone's attention. Plus, they teach for mastery learning to ensure students get it 100% right before they proceed. But maybe most importantly, great teachers first get their students excited and then keep their attention through storytelling and engaging activities that spark their imaginations. A paper published by Stanford in 2009 showed that leadership makes a big difference too. At low-performing schools, principals hardly ever show up in the classrooms, but instead spend most of their time on administration, documents, or finance. Schools with better students, principals that get out of their office and spend a lot of time in the classrooms, supervising and developing the teachers. Together, they can make a big difference in their students' life. Economist Raj Chetty and his team analyzed the data of 2.5 million US students and 18 million test results. He thinks that instructors who are good at teaching to the test have a big impact. On average, having such a teacher for just 1 year raises the students' test scores and cumulative lifetime income by $14,500 in 2011 dollars. In early childhood education, he has another hypothesis. Great kindergarten teachers help to develop social skills, discipline, and character. Their impact does not improve test scores during the school years, but surprisingly re-emerges years later, when their former students apply those skills to advance in their careers and find meaningful and well-paying jobs. Eric Hanashek, professor at Stanford University, computed how much good teachers really matter. He found that,
and I think I should provide the link for the video since it's left, it's more. So ma'am, do we have time to, should I go ahead with the with this video, or should I post it as a, in the as a link? Since I think we are not left with much time.
Right. So can you, if you can end the video, we have a couple of questions lined up here. I would like to read out to you.
Sure.
Okay. So do you have any other slide? Okay.
Oh,
You're done with
that's all. That's all from my side.
Yeah. So the first question is, how can we create a discussion-rich classroom?
How can we create, pardon?
A discussion-rich classroom. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. So, yes. So how can we create a discussion-rich classroom? That's very important to, because obviously, if we are only speaking, then, it's really difficult that the students are present there mentally. So it's very important that we enhance, kind of classroom where discussion is happening, right? So for this, what we can do is we can offer some kind of open-ended questions to the students, right? And we can also do this by assigning some task where they need to do a conversation with their companions. As in, I really practice this in my in the language thing. So some task where, for example, they have to do a conversation in Spanish or maybe in in English even if they are learning that. So they have to do a kind of conversation with each other. They have learned how to greet, how to say goodbye, and the normal basic conversation. So we should, we can pair up them. This is just one example. We can pair up them and, like this, the discussions, that can happen.
So how do we set students up to succeed in discussion, and what does it look like in practice?
All right. So to succeed in the discussion, it's very important for the teacher to offer very clear instructions how the thing has to be carried out. With that, we can, ensure that it is, the discussion is happening successfully.
Okay. So that was from Mr. Pratik. So Mr. Pratik, again, he's asking, what could you do to break the ice or set the tone to provide a comfortable atmosphere in the classroom?
All right. So a comfortable atmosphere in the classroom. All right. So I think this is something which every teacher should practice at the start only. For example, if the new academic session is going to start. So if I will have my new students, right? So how to make them, comfortable. So as we discussed before, we can talk to the students apart from apart from the academic discussions. We can talk about other things about their life. This is how we can make them comfortable with us.
Okay. So why is lecturing the least productive method of teaching? What are your views on that?
Yeah. So yes, if our speaking is 90% and it's just 10% student speaking, so I think this is very evident that obviously students participation and the thing is not being driven by the students. So their concentration, their interest would be obviously very less because it's us only who keep on speaking, and we are not even taking the feedbacks, or we are not even letting us know that whether the students are even understanding or not, even whether they are being mentally present or not. So it's very important to ask questions frequently in between, to look into their eyes. It's very important, when, for example, I'm teaching and I am not looking at my students, but I'm looking here and there. So obviously the same I will get from the students. Students will also look here and there. So it's important, that to maintain this.
Right. Unless and until you make the teaching interesting, why would a student pay attention, right?
Yes. So you have to include some kind of, audio visuals and some kinds of, you can introduce quizzes, the activities. Nowadays, we have so many websites and, such a good resources, materials we have. So it's not like that, before when we used to learn, we used to study, it was very different than as compared to today's time.
Right. So coming to the online classroom, someone wants to know, what would you recommend as an approach to successfully communicate online?
Successfully communicate online. Okay. Okay. So if it is only about communicating and not about does that include the interest part as well from the students as well? Are you looking for the concentration and interest from the student, or just the communication thing? Because it depends on many factors. You know, online thing, first of all, it's somewhere challenging at times. The network issues, at times some other technical glitch is there. So well, when I started teaching, I started online only because it was like the pandemic thing was going on. So I started online teaching. But then again, I feel that there is not much difference online and offline. Whatever I can do offline, I can do offline, I can do online as well. It's just that few things. Basically, obviously, you know, the child is not sitting in front of you. But if you can, you know, make things interesting for the child, he or she at no point of time will feel that, you know, there is a that I'm being restricted, or you know, I am being okay, not being you know, introduced to the things, or yeah, not being introduced to the things that I would have, you know, things that I would have done, you know, offline. So I do the activities, quizzes, games, and everything online also, which I do offline, right? So flashcards, if you know, I make extensive use of flashcards, doing with flashcards, because I feel that with my experience, I felt that they learn very well with the flashcards and, you know, all these kinds of activities. So I do the same online also. There are websites where you can create your own flashcards, where you can prepare your games, activities. There are so many websites. So it's not a challenge. It's not a challenge to communicate well through online platform.
Okay. Last, not but the least, what or who motivated you to take up teaching profession?
Okay. First thing, that, you know, I still, it's very kiddish. So, you know, it was like I always wanted to go back to school. Always wanted to. I spent one of my best, you know, moments in the school. I still, today's time, you know, I remember my school, and I love students. I love kids. I love students. So I love to teach them. It's like, you know, we are not the God, but yes, you know, if we are giving them, you know, this is the best gift that we are giving to the students. If we are, you know, making them knowledgeable, we are teaching them, right? So I feel that I am being blessed by the God to provide this service, you know, to do this for the humanity. So that you know, takes me towards teaching. Also, I like to, because I teach Spanish, so I really want my students to become very good communicators, you know, speakers, Spanish speakers. So this is how I want to spread the Spanish culture and the speaking. So that's all.
Nice to know. That ends the question answer round, Ms. Parul. School Journal of Education and schoolreformer.com. Thank you for the talk and for patiently answering all the questions. We also thank the audience for participating in the event. We will end the session now. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving this opportunity. Have a good day, all of you. Thank you so much.
Bye.